Okay, so it's Richard, and I am with my great friend Gasper in Slovenia. And look, this is going to be potentially the first of our the first Rich Report live podcast, and rather, and I'd be happy to. I had this thought for a long time to go and interview some of the wonderful people who I know, who are brilliant hypnotists, coaches, therapists, mind workers, or leaders in personal development and thought. And Gasper's definitely one of those people. And he's very kindly got some ideas and questions for me today. So, so we're going to kind of start off with that. And I don't know exactly what you're going to ask, Gasper, but please ask away. And I'm very happy to. I will do my best. I will do my best to answer in the most helpful way I can. So over to you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so much. And by the way, you helped me a lot, in the past, and you're helping me still. And I really like your programs and your Rich Report. It gives me new insights and ideas, and I really like it and recommend it to everyone listening, perhaps.
Thank you very much, Gasper. I really, really appreciate it. That's very kind, my friend.
So yesterday I was listening to your Rich Report about systems and programs. And there's the basic idea about the programs is that we don't sell sessions as they are, but we put sessions into the program, and then we sell programs. And then there was something about, you said, but I really like that you have perhaps 3 main programs. One is high valued, and the other 2 programs are, a bit less valued, and you offer the program with the highest value first, and just say to the clients everything that they get in this program, which is phenomenal. And I get it that the for, let's say, the gold program is like a 1-year program when you are reachable to your clients whenever they need you.
Right.
But then you said that the other 2 programs that you put in there, like 5 sessions or 10 sessions or whatever, and it lasts for 3 months or 6 months. I'm just wondering, how would you handle the situation when one is working with stop smoking clients? How would you, how would you create programs for stop smoking clients for the highest program, and then the other 2 programs? Like, the main thing is they have to stop smoking, they have to become a non-smoker, and it kind of doesn't fit into the 5-10 session model.
Sure. Perfect. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on stopping smoking. So I'd say probably the areas where I've seen the most clients over the last, more than two decades now, well over 2 decades. The main sort of areas I started off in were stop smoking, just because that was a niche I was recommended to go for, a niche, and that was a popular one. Over time, a lot of the smokers who I helped wanted help with weight loss, so they also came to me or they knew people who had weight loss. That was like a separate thing they had anyway. Weight loss anyway started to be quite a popular one, and then a lot around anxiety and fear of flying, fear of public speaking, and also blushing. So they were kind of areas that I worked in a lot, but I worked very, very extensively with smokers. And my overwhelming kind of thoughts with this are, ideally you want to do it in 1 session.
Yes.
All right. And there's reasons for this. There's reasons for that. Now it can be challenging in terms of pitching it to people, if you want to go a little bit higher up in terms of that. And that's why, so let's say, for instance, you let me just compare it with, say, something like coaching. Let's say, which is why I kind of recommend generally the coaches and therapists I know to either promote themselves as consultants, coaches, or mentors. Mentors is the most straightforward one, because when you've got expertise in your area and your program, you say, I tell you what to do, and it's up to you to do it. All right. It's really straightforward, but it's very, very high perceived value.
Yes.
Particularly if you're working for small or medium business people. Coaching as well. You can coach people to grow. You can coach them to evolve. You can coach them to do all these things. So if you were to put together a program for somebody about their to, shall we say, improve their business, improve their health, any of the areas they want to work on, then you can easily structure a program where you work together over a year, and you might meet up a specific number of times. It's up to you to decide how you want to do it. I like to leave it open for people where they can book when they need. And I say, and most people are very reasonable with this. I say, look, if you need a bit of extra help one month, I'm here. If another month you don't, then that's fine. But I am here. And I encourage them to send me, even if it's one sentence or two sentences every Friday, a little update, what went well this week. Okay.
So you just propose to them that they send you a little note every Friday.
Yes.
Did I catch that right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice.
Exactly. Focusing on what's gone well. Okay. So that holds them accountable to me. It's helpful for them to train their focus on what's working. Now, with stopping smoking, if somebody comes and they just want to stop smoking, then it always boils down to their motivation. All right. So I had somebody today. I haven't spoken with her yet. I've sent her a little message back, but I will speak with her afterwards. And this is the text message that came through. I found you on the internet. Does hypnotherapy still work if you enjoy a cigarette? All right. So I'm not even sure if this person is inquiring for themselves, what their motivation is. So I think I wrote something back along the lines of, hey, are you looking to stop smoking, or do you know somebody who else is, who's looking to stop? All right. And if it's you, what's your overwhelming burning reason to stop and your motivation? Because that's when it really kicks in and is most useful. And I think that you can position stop smoking as part of a wider package of health benefits for people, like building up confidence, building up willpower, building up better exercise habits, all those kind of things. So mentally rehearsing an ideal life for them, the way that they would like things to be. But if it's specifically and only stopping smoking, you really want to do it in one session, because otherwise, and I'll tell you, I'll be honest, I ran it for years, and I used to advertise stop smoking in 1 hour, and people would come and do that, and they would always have like one free session if they needed it. All right. Not a backup session.
Yes.
Now the problem is, there were a couple of problems. One is, I didn't always filter for their motivation and purpose. If they had a strong motivation, they would quit. If it was weak, they didn't quit.
Yes.
All right. It didn't matter what I did afterwards. It really didn't matter on the thing there. If there's a super strong reason, they will stop. All right. And I think with stopping smoking, it is very, very easy, because you're just not, it's the easiest change in the world to make, because you're just not doing something. You just don't go to the shops, you just don't buy cigarettes, and you don't light them, and you don't put them in your mouth. Literally, like if I said to somebody, like, just stop hitting your head against the door each morning, right? It's really straightforward. I know there are additional things to directionalize people, but it's not like they have to invest in something like a stock fund and wait years for their money to come back. It's not like they have to build up a big business. It's not like they have to lose weight or build muscle mass. You simply have to stop doing it. So my sense is to do that is to position it for one session, but the way that you position that and the value proposition for that is going to depend. If you're going to add lots of other things around it, then you turn it into a full-on coaching program. Okay. And the first module is they stop smoking in one session.
So you also frame it like that.
Absolutely.
Yes. So you're going to stop smoking then and then.
Absolutely. We do the stop
yeah.
smoking. Absolutely. Really clearly. At one point, I experimented. This was going back about a decade and a half. I thought, oh, look, some people really enjoy, a lot of people were like, they'd come and see me for one thing. They'd say, can I have I would like to see you for a number of sessions for something else or to achieve this goal. So I started saying, okay, well, we can do 5 sessions or we can do 10. We'll do a package for you. And people liked that. So they asked me, I put that together for them. And I thought, I wonder if I do that for stopping smoking. And my thinking was, I can help people have more time for, say, relaxation, or more time for the triggers, or more time for this. And you know what happened? The people would come along each week. How are you doing? Oh, yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I'm just smoking and enjoying life. Yeah. So great. Okay. So let's get down to business today. Next week they come in. How are you doing? Oh, yeah, it's fine. I haven't stopped smoking. All right. And because in their mind, it's the old thing. There is a saying, and I like this, that work expands to fill the time available, which is why you have to have a deadline for something to increase motivation. Otherwise, it's so open-ended. The unconscious mind has nothing to grab onto, has nothing to go for. And I think that's really important with something like smoking, because I think people need to be in that place. Now, there is and I will send this to you at one point. I know I mentioned a while ago, I've got a recording, Prepare to Quit, which I used to give to people in advance. So they get used to the hypnotic voice, the hypnotic process. They get used to focusing their mind fundamentally on one question, which is, what is my overwhelming reason for quitting?
Yes. And
how will my life be better as a result? So in terms of framing, absolutely stopping with smoking, I'll have it as one session, but I prefer to sort of, if someone's going to work with me, then I will still say to them, I'll happily say, look, you're paying in the UK now, if you smoke 20 a day, you're paying, it's round about, I think it's 12 or 13 pounds a pack of cigarettes. It's going up on a daily basis. I mean, it's a hell of a lot of money. So let's say about 16, 17 US dollars a pack. And I'm like, okay, you're spending close to heading towards £5,000 a year. Okay.
Yes.
You need to be able to lock this in. The way that I work is I tailor a program for you. Okay. You're going to come along and you'll stop. Okay. You'll quit. Okay. And I will guarantee that work for you. Okay. And in fact, if you need if at any point in future, you ever have any problems with it, you can come back and see me for up to a year. All right. So you get complete peace of mind. All right.
Yes.
The price is £3,000. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that investment? Now, what we'll do is, if they've already told me their clear motivation up front, now we will go into detail about it, why that program is there, how they need to invest in themselves to be able to help them to quit. So you can still do a single session program for £3,000. Or whatever the equivalent is in your local currency.
Yes.
But you have to let them know, and I think I mentioned this on the Rich Report 8 about systems and processes, right? This is where you can ask for it. One, you know that you have invested tens of thousands of pounds and thousands of hours in your own education, all right, to be the best person that you can to help other people. So you've already invested in this. You know that other people die from smoking. They're losing on average, maybe, 10 or 12 years of their life from smoking. So you know the value that you're adding to those people. I know from having worked with hundreds of people that they send me letters year after year, like even after 20 years, they tell me how confident they are, how happy they are, how easy it is, how they never looked back. All right. So they've saved maybe 100,000, or if they were to smoke throughout their lives, throughout the lifetime of a smoker in the UK now, you will spend well over £200,000. All right. And you'll reduce your life by 12 years. So I know in my heart of hearts, I'm adding value to those people. All right. And as an ethical person, if for any reason they're unhappy, or they just say this wasn't for me, or don't like it, absolutely no problem. I will give them a full refund. I've got no problem with that. All right. Now, that doesn't really happen because I make sure in the consultation and everything else that I'm doing, first of all, I get referrals. Secondly, I will, so this, where it's not a referral this morning, I'd be very, very cautious about that person, and I will give them some specific tasks to do to make sure that they are receptive and responsive and that they have strong motivation. But you can still absolutely offer a program which is fundamentally a single session, as long as you know the value you add. You help other people see that value to their life and what it's going to do for them. And thirdly, you have a very clear system in place of, you know, like the way that you're going to approach it, the way you're going to talk, the type of conversations you're going to have, at what point you ask, how you handle objections, and how you handle the booking, make it very smooth and easy for them, the way you follow up with your appointment messages. All these things about the systems come from a clear process where you understand the value of your program to you and what you offer, and you appreciate it for the other person. But going back to your original question and tying this back in, I would say one session for stopping smoking, because otherwise what happens is there's no motivation to quit then and there. And you know, Gasper, you're a lovely person. If I could come along every week and see you and hang out with you, why wouldn't I? You know, so you have to watch out for that, because then the secondary gain kicks in, right? That you're getting attention for your problem. You're getting the attention, full listening, undivided attention of an expert, somebody compassionate listening to you and hearing you. So now there's a critical mass of things building up, which is, well, I don't really want this to end. It's like a great holiday.
Yes, and
why would I want it to end when I've got it there for as long as I want?
And I have one whole year to quit. You know, if you offer it that way. Definitely. But it's still it can happen. You know, I imagine that, you know, some people just don't quit in the first session, and then you know, the second session comes and they don't quit, and third session and they don't quit, and they develop a pattern that it's hard to break. And you know, my question would be, how to deal with clients? What are your thoughts on that one? How to deal with clients that don't quit in the first session, even though they have motivation? You checked the motivation, but you know, something happens and they just, perhaps you didn't do it right, or something else is going on there. But for example, you have 3, 4, 5 sessions and they are still smoking. So how to frame it, or how to connect them with the belief that they can quit, or maybe just, you know, let them go, or right, okay. Look, if you got 4, 5, 6 sessions with somebody who's stopping smoking, then something is not right. Exactly.
Okay. All right. I don't think it should ever get past 2. All right. The second one might be to handle where you use, you know, visual squash, reintegration, where there's maybe a little bit of there's just like a little bit of a values conflict there that you're just gonna seal up for them. Okay. So let me put it like this. I think if you're getting in a stop smoking session down to 5, 6, 10 sessions, what's happened is this. Okay. The other person is fundamentally giving their power away to the idea of hypnosis, to the hypnotist, to the coach. All right. They have given up their agency, their personal responsibility. All right. Now, it's very easy for people to do this. All right. It's why I like the coaching frame as opposed to hypnosis. Okay. You can still do all the hypnosis stuff. You just don't call it that, which helps with you being able to work and use it right across the board and right across the world. It's less threatening to a lot of people when you understand how to work that into the coaching sort of environment. But what happens is, with coaching, we'll say to somebody, what do you want to work through? How do you want to be different? And what are you going to do today? Okay, what action are you going to take? Now, with hypnosis, what happens is, and going back to the message I literally got just before I came on air, the lady who contacted me was like, does hypnosis still work when I'm enjoying a cigarette? All right, there's so much in there, right? It's like she, right, first of all, she hasn't phoned me up. All right, a motivated person will send will phone up. Okay, they'll take that next step. Okay, secondly, there's no motivation in there. All right, it's basically, it's two things. It's a challenge frame. Yeah, I enjoy smoking. Yeah, but you know, some people in society say I shouldn't smoke. Yeah, you know, I mean, what do you think? Yeah, I mean, does hypnosis still work? It's like, so there's also kind of, there's a challenge. The challenge is twofold, right? One, here, you reckon you can do it? And secondly, you reckon hypnosis can do it? All right. And thirdly, there's a presupposition there. Either, but basically there's two things. Either hypnosis is baloney, but I'm just going through the motions, or hypnosis does work, but it's something that gets done to you. And I need to play no part in that process. So let me give you an example of a way to make someone more active in that process, if I may.
Oh, great.
So I remember when I first started off with stopping smoking, I had no, I wanted to do it. So I'd done all my NLP, all my hypnosis training, coaching, but I had no specific way to target stuff. So I found I was very good working with anxiety and those kind of things, fears, phobias, focus. That was quite straightforward. But I didn't have any specific tools for smoking. So I went and I got all the programs that were available at the time, which honestly they were not great, but I got them. And then I went to speak with all the people who I knew who were the top trainers. And I said, well, what do you do? And they would typically tell me some quite similar things. These were the Ericksonian, the people who are very good Ericksonian therapists, all that kind of stuff. They would say, okay, we speak with somebody and we find out what the motivation is. We find out what the motivation is. Okay. Now, then we set a date to quit, like when they're going to come along. We'll set aside a good long time, maybe even 3 hours for it. It's going to be a big proper breakthrough session, as long as we need, so they have time to integrate afterwards. We might not need all that time, but we're going to set the time aside.
Time is no objection. So
time is no objection. Absolutely. But it's a specific date when they are going to quit.
Yes.
And for the week before they come, they have a task. And here's the task. They have to keep every cigarette butt that they smoke. Every time they smoke, they have a notepad they come around with them, and they have to put a little, a little mark. They've had one cigarette. When they finish that cigarette, they have to put it in a bag, a plastic bag, and they have to carry this bag everywhere with them for 1 week. They even take it to bed with them. Right? It goes everywhere. So now they're keeping marks of it, and they're keeping this bag. At the end of each day, they put their nose in the bag, or be careful with health and safety, obviously, these days. But they basically, right, they're not going to stay in there, but they're going to smell the bag. So don't put your head in, just smell it. All right, smell it from a distance, but smell that, see it. All right, just so people understand. I'm sure people understand, but just, for any younger viewers, right? But that's exactly what you do. All right. So what they're doing now is they're becoming consciously aware of the habit that they're doing. They're becoming involved in noticing the triggers, the internal triggers, the external triggers. And now there's the strategy of it being unconscious and automatic and pleasurable is being slightly broken up.
Yes.
All right.
Exactly.
And so they would do that, and then they will bring along that bag of things to the session as well. So you're already building up you're starting to put some distance between this being a pleasant habit. Okay, you're starting to make it a little bit uncomfortable. And also this kind of tasking helps build the kind of compliance that you need for them during your session. All right.
Yes.
Okay. This is making them invested in it. And there's a presupposition here, which is you have to behave differently to get a different result. All right. And I really like that. I really like that. I really like that frame. I think that gives you, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can do it more conversationally with somebody. But the very first thing when somebody phones up is, I'm going to say, why are you absolutely committed to stopping smoking right now?
Yes.
All right. And honestly, I can tell very, very quickly whether they're in the right space or not when I ask that question.
What gives them away? I mean,
sure. Sure. So what gives them away is something very specific about their health and the impacts that it's going to, the impact on their life, specifically relative to other people. All right. And or their livelihood. All right. So I'll give you an example. It's like, well, why are you committed to stopping smoking right now? Oh, I don't know. It's just, I want to, you know, it costs, I just, you know, I think it's time to stop. All right. So we've got this one answer. Now we've got another one. So what, you know, why are you committed to stopping smoking right now? Oh, it's, you know, it costs a lot. Okay. Versus, so why are you committed to stopping right now? Look, I've been out the other day. I've got 2 young kids. All right. I used to be really fit when I was younger. I could go and I played rugby, I played football, I trained regularly, I was really strong. I'm now in the park. I was running around last week with my kids. They were in the park. I was out of breath and I couldn't keep up with them. And I'm only like 32. I just said, you know what, I've got to do something about this. Enough is enough. When you hear that third type where somebody's invested, there's something specific, a specific moment of awareness. Typically, it will involve other people because that helps with the higher sense of purpose, but it will also be related to their health. Then in my experience, that's great. And I have certain avatars for types of people. For example, I've noticed that men who used to exercise a lot, who've now got children and smoke, they just have their reason, their motivation is highly, highly stacked up. I mean, if you've got 2 children and that doesn't give you massive motivation to take a bit better care of yourself and make the changes that you are, then honestly, a single hypnosis session ain't going to cut it, right? You got to do some more soul searching, right? So, and I think that's really important because I think, I don't want to say it's a limitation of stuff because there are technologies, mind technologies that can persuade people that white is black and black is white. You know, I mean, that's you know, that happens. We see that happening all the time. But I think with stopping smoking, I think the way I look at it is this: somebody has reached a point in their mind where they have deep personal reasons why they want to transform, and they know that enough is enough. They just don't quite know how to approach it. And they want some help to do it efficiently without too much pain, without failure, and without beating themselves out, without all the sense of guilt and shame that they've been doing that habit. Okay. And we create a context and environment where that can happen much more smoothly. All right. But especially if they're referrals, because they already have an expectation that this is going to work. All right. And that's why, you know, I think I mentioned it on the in the Rich report. You know, my way I look at this is hypnosis is always happening. All right. So they're in a trance of, oh my God, I've got this, you know, they were in the original trance, which is, oh, I'm just going to smoke because it makes me relax. And then they get into a new trance, which is, this is not good for me. Enough is enough. I need something that's going to help me. This person, I believe this person can help me. When they're in that kind of trance, all right, and it leverages, it follows on from the other trance, then your consultation, well, first of all, your marketing with your case studies and your testimonials, but then your consultation is going to expand that. And you're going to tell them, here's what's going to happen. They say, well, how does it work? I say, well, look, first of all, you book online and you pay. Once that payment's there, we'll schedule you in as soon as possible, typically in the next 2 weeks. You come through the door, we'll have a discussion. We'll discuss your motivation so that your motivation is stronger than ever. And then I'll start showing you some ways in which you can take charge of your mind. And as you build those up, you'll find that you get in a very relaxed state, a very comfortable state. You'll go through some processes. We'll have a chat about it, and you'll let go of that habit. So when you walk out the door, you will be a non-smoker, and you'll know you're a non-smoker. How does that sound? All right. So I'm building that up. I'm building that sense up, and I'm continually watching them there. They should be falling off their seats with excitement when I'm telling them this. All right. And if there's anything there that's not there, I'm going to flag that up front. You see, what happened is in the old days, I would have the same as you. I'd have some people who come in and then they would come back for another one. And we lived in quite a small area. So they used to go to the same cafe as me, or the same bit. So I knew if they were smoking because they'd be standing outside when I went there. And it's really embarrassing if it's your clients. You're like, oh man. And you've done everything there. But actually what happened over a time was I realized, okay, I see what's happening here. It really does boil down to the clear motivation and purpose. And then there are lots and lots of ways in which you can structure that for people, and ways that you can do that and work with that to do that. A lot of those people I could help with a follow-up session, but not if they were not invested. So now the trick is in the consultation to make sure that you have the right kind of people who are really, really focused and ready to change.
So I really liked what you said. I really like what you said in the REACH report about, how on average, or I don't know, it's just a rough number, but perhaps even 90% of the whole success happens in marketing and consultation, and then only like a 10% or so is the real thing, or what others think is the real thing. So based on that, I'm thinking that maybe it's not a question of what to do when a client doesn't stop smoking. So you have him for about 5, 6, even more sessions. But it's just a question of how to do a consultation that doesn't happen. And if it does happen, then perhaps it's time to let the client go, or to change the frame about what we are working on together, or how would you?
No, I agree
on that.
Yeah. I mean, there's two things there. I mean, if you had got to the 5 or 6, a person who had got to that that line with somebody, is you have to change tack. You've got to do something different.
Yes.
If you do what you've done in the last 6 sessions, in 6 more sessions time, it's going to be exactly the same. So, for instance, I would say to them, look, let me level with you. It's really strange. Most people quit after 1 or 2 sessions. I know you've been struggling a little bit. What do you think is going on here? Oh, I don't know. Do you want to quit? Are you still committed to quitting? Fantastic. So why do you want to? So I would go back first towards, why are you ready to quit right now? Or, what is your overwhelming reason to quit right now? And if they say, oh, I don't know, I'm just thinking about it, and say, well, look, when you're ready, then come back and then we'll talk. You can do it that way. Or you can say, look, what we're going to need to do is, so you still want to quit. Is that right? Yeah, absolutely. It's really important to you. Absolutely. Stack your yes set up. Okay. And then say, okay, great. So what we're going to do, we've obviously got to make sure, I really want to make sure that you get the best value out of what we're doing here. So here's what we're going to need, what I'm going to need for you to do for the next 2 weeks, and then give them the cigarette assignment.
Oh, yeah, nice
one. All right. Now, okay. Now what that's going to do is, if they say, oh, I don't like the idea of that. Oh, no, do I have to do it? I say, well, look, I mean, you told me you want to quit. I mean, you said you want to break this habit. help me understand what's going on here. All right. So now you're leveraging back. Now you're turning up the screws a little bit. Do that kindly, do that benignly, but literally, look, they've said they want to quit. And they want to do that. They have to invest in the process. So that's what I would do at that point. But honestly, the reason that I say most of the stuff happens up front is that when people get an idea in their head, it's very hard to change it. Okay, one way or the other. So, I mean, it can be done, and of course, that's what we do. But they fundamentally need to have a kind of a sense where, oh, wow, I really like this, or something's happening, which is why in my marketing, it's referrals and case studies and, free daily emails that people can get. And then when we do speak, they either come from those things and from referrals, so they know me. And then when we speak, I'll ask them what they want to achieve, what their motivation is, how they will feel when they've got that. And then I will give them some experiences during the consultation. I'll let them experience what it's like straight away to work with me for two reasons. One, we can both see that we can work with each other. And two, now they have a reference experience. It's like, oh, that was amazing. Now they know something's happening. And I'll say, look, we've done this like in 1 minute. Imagine what it's going to be. Imagine how this is going to play out when you go through the full program and all the benefits in your life where you have X and Y and Z. What difference do you think this could make? All right. So that's why I say it boils down to doing it up front. And the analogy I would use is my friends who are, I know some people who are the top stage hypnotists. And the way that they work is this: they do the same thing. They have an audience of, say, could be 100 or 500 people. They'll get everyone to go and do, hand clasp and, finger vice and hand levitation, arm levitation, all that stuff. Those people in the audience who are like this all the way through, they're not going to invite up to stage.
Of course. Yes.
The people who have a little bit like this, they're not going to invite up. The people who are like this, they're going to invite up. And they'll maybe get 30 of those people up stage, and then they'll ask them to do certain things. And if they can do it straight away, they'll stay. Otherwise, they'll go back to their seat. Why are they doing that? They're filtering down for the receptivity at that point, at that moment in time. And if somebody is receptive and ready and has the right mindset, then it's very, very easy to do. Otherwise, they may have to do a little bit of work to get up to that. But really, it's important to create a context where people can change easily. And the easiest way for people to change is when they've decided that they want to. They have motivation. They believe in what you have to offer. And then when you turn up, we have these tools like the symbolic coaching and all these other things that can help us do it effectively and efficiently. But they're in the right space for it because the expectancy is there. Okay. So we want to trigger the placebo effect, not the nocebo effect.
Yes, because it's important. Sometimes when they're not succeeding, the belief is going down, the belief in the process. So it's important that after some sessions of non-success, that you create a belief first, so the right context, and then try to work with them from that point on. I think
absolutely now, absolutely. And whatever happens, all right, it's just an outcome, a learning outcome. All right. Okay. So if somebody, on any coaching program, it's very typical that people will either they will achieve maybe some success there, or they may try something and it doesn't work out. Either way, you have to develop a way for them to look at that and say, okay, So what do you think you need to overcome this next time? Or, congratulations, for taking action. So what do you think you've learned from that that's going to help you for the next step? Or, or you may rechange it to something smaller, like, okay, so the goal, what we're focusing this session on is your next task, which is over the next 2 weeks, to keep a track of your cigarettes, keep them in this bag and carry that around with you. Okay. And so you can help them, figure out how they're going to do that, when they're going to start, all those kind of things. So ultimately, whatever happens, look, you need to have the reframe in mind, which is people have to fail to succeed.
Exactly.
All right. And once you have you fail, you're going to fail to succeed.
Exactly.
Somebody comes and says, oh, I just ate pies last week. Oh, congratulations. What? Look, all right. Now we know exactly what to work on this week. All right. And it's okay. Everyone, it's not usually a straight road to success, because sometimes you got to fail to succeed. You know what I mean? I mean, do children start walking straight away the first time? No, they're going to fall over a few times. All right. It's just as adults, we're a little bit less forgiving with ourselves. So it's okay. Because you know now what not to do. So how about this week we focus on what you can do that'll help you move in that direction? What do you reckon?
Wow, nice one.
All right. Now, that's only going to work for this reason. Okay. One, I'm not trying to do anything too complex or wizardry, but I know that's how life works. All right. I know that people can change. I know that it's always a process of change. And as long as people stay engaged with that process, they're going to be in the process of moving somewhere. And as long as that somewhere is somewhere that they're invested in, that has hope, potential, that they feel that they can make some kind of progress with, then you're in a very, very good place. And you really don't need to, remember the value that you add to other people. All right. What's presupposed by what I just said there? Okay. I am not freaked out by what you just said. All right. You were expecting that I was going to crumble and everyone was going to go, oh no, it's a disaster. All right. And what did I model for you? Oh, that's interesting. I modeled curiosity. I modeled certainty. So now I've trained myself. This is when I talk about the value and mindset and what's the most important thing. One of those sets of mirror neurons is going to win. All right. My job is for it to be my ones, and not in a domineering, narcissistic way, but just in a way of like, you got this. It's absolutely normal. It's absolutely fine. Yeah. You were able to look at a behavior in your life honestly and objectively and say, you know what? I don't want this. I want something different. Well, that's a good thing. All right. You decided that for yourself. And honestly, choosing something else is within the realm of possibility of human beings. I'm convinced of it.
Exactly. Yeah, me too. Inspiring thoughts, and they really touch the heart, I think, of the whole thing.
Awesome.
We're doing. Yeah, nice.
So. Now, does that give you? I know you had some questions, Gus, but is there anything that I mean, I know there's many things, but are there any other questions that you'd like to ask? Because I'm happy to go there now, or save them for another time. Absolutely fine either way. But I think these are really good. I think it's really important, and I think it's really helpful both for potential prospects and potential clients to know that they have to be invested and have motivation. But it's also important for people who want to help other folk to to be very clear on the value that you add and to mentally prepare people to get the most out of it. Now, we're in quite a luxurious situation. If we can choose, we can pick and choose like that. I know there may be some situations where folk can't do that, and then it's more challenging, right? You know, exactly. the most challenging would be like where the court appoints people to you to make changes. All right. In that case,
that can be a disaster.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, you know, the only thing you can do there is you can level with people. You can ask what their motivation is. You can try. You can build rapport and trust. But you've got to show a hell of a lot of care and attention, and they're going to test you. They're going to test you, and they're going to challenge you. And honestly, there may well be some people who just in that situation, they don't want to engage. All right. But where we do have choice, you know, where typically we do, where people contact us, then it's important to do that. And I think the way I see it is we're adding a huge amount of value up front. First of all, the whole of your life and all the years of studying, learning, welcoming, all the fact that you're doing this in 2 languages, the fact that you've said hundreds and hundreds of hours of training, the fact you invested thousands and thousands of pounds, thousands, just all this money into what you're doing, plus all the people that you've seen, plus all the people that you've helped. So you have that belief. Secondly, you've taken time to understand the end-to-end process. And so when somebody contacts you, you are bringing all that value in the consultation to help them up front for free. All right. You're just, you don't have to try and push them or trick them into booking with you or encourage them. You're just giving and helping, and you are creating a context for them to make the changes that they want. So by the time they finish the call with you, they're in a better place, in a better position with more certainty than they've ever had that they can make that change. That is adding massive, massive value. So to ask after that, right? It's like you said to somebody, oh, you know, I want you to come and build an extension in my house. And I want you to build some rooms and build a new loft and build a new garage. I want you to do all that. But first, and they come around and the first thing they do is they build you a new garden. That's beautiful. And then they say, so what do you reckon? You interested in working together? Like, yeah, for sure. I'm going to sign you up now. So that's what I kind of think we do in our consultation. We're adding all that value, all our expertise, everything. We're helping them do something that we're creating the seeds of change. We're planting those seeds that are going to become oak trees over time. We are helping them obliterate the doubts and build the certainty there. And we create that context because that's the context, that's the door that they're going to walk through when they walk through the door to your office, whether online or offline, for the session. And when you think like that, and once you've got that really clear in your mind, then you can serve people a lot better. You know, people can still slip through the net for sure, course, but it will happen. It will happen an awful lot less. An awful lot less. All right.
You know, it's funny because every question we have about the process or the skills or everything, basically, it all ends with mindset as a basis of it all. So
for sure,
no right mindset, no work done. So you just
yes,
have to have it in place. Yeah,
I agree, and it's really important, and it's a great thing, and it's worth. It really is the central theme of this. Look, I think you want to be working and developing yourself each week. You want to have coaches, friends, mentors who can help you in your business, but with your mindset when you get stuck, when you plateau, and you have to find a way to reconnect continually with your work and really train yourself to appreciate the value that you add. So again, not in a narcissistic way, not in a competitive way with other people, because we all have relative strengths. And there's no one person on the planet who can help everyone, right? So what we do is we have to have that in the right place, because then we can do the fundamental thing that all our clients want, which is to move from doubt to certainty. All right. So, but we have to condition ourselves to be certain that change is possible, that things can be better, that we can see the world with new eyes, that we can make new choices. We have to really keep that in our hearts. And that it does require working on yourself, for sure.
Exactly. Be a role model for the change.
Yeah.
That reminds me, I just read a book from Jasper Juhl. I don't know if you heard of him. He's like I think psychologist or psychiatrist that worked with children and adolescents, and he wrote about how to educate children, how to take care of them so that they will grow into a nice, pleasant, confident persons as adults. And he said that the change in children doesn't start with how you work with them, but how you are with others. So it ends up with being a role model for them, how you want them to be. Not what you do with them, but how you are in the world that's around them, with your partner, with your frustrations, with basically how you work in the world that you're in.
Wow.
If that makes any sense.
It's very powerful. It makes total sense, Gasper. And I agree. I think that there used to be a lazy sort of mantra that parents had, which was, don't do as I do as I say.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Right? Which I don't know if that's popular in other countries, but let me tell you, the thing is that they are going to copy you, and they're going to copy your attitudes. They're going to copy primarily your attitudes, your emotional states. So they will hold physiologically, they will hold their bodies in the same way that you do. There's this classic story of Wittgenstein, but he liked to do his thinking like this. And then one day his daughter's being interviewed years later, and they say, well, what do you think about this? And she's like, but it's an extreme example, but they copy us. We model each other. Like for myself, for my son, where I lose my rag, or I have been frustrated with things, or maybe I have, if any small chinks in the armor, they get magnified and highlighted, right? So I have to do it. Like if I want to teach my son to, and he's pretty good at this actually, eating healthfully, but I want to teach him to eat healthily or exercise, then I need to be doing that.
Exactly.
If I want to teach him to be open-minded, then I need to be open-minded. If I want to listen, if I want to be a good listener, then I need to listen. If I want to teach to be able to handle confusion and not take it personally, then I need to model. Then I need to make sure that I work on myself with that. So, and it is the age-old thing. If there's a problem in a home or in any system, then you need to look at the kind of the wider thing of how people are behaving. But you're right, taking that back to us as coaches, therapists, all that, we set the context for that by the way that we believe and the expectancy that we have. And that's conveyed right through. And it needs to be really, really certain, because if there's any chinks there or any doubts or hesitancies, other people will pick them up. Okay. So essentially they're paying us, the way I see it is they're paying us to believe in them and have certainty so that they have permission to make the change.
Yes.
And a model to do that.
Nice. Wow. So I think that we talked about some really important things today, and thank you so much for for this inspiration, for your education and
Gasper, you're welcome.
Information.
Thank you. Well, look, Gasper, I see brilliant questions, and I really like this. So let's do this again sometime soon. Yeah, we can pick any themes, any topics, and I think that I think it's fun. I think it's really, really helpful. So we'll do that. So I will put some links below the video, so that people have got that. So if they want to get in contact with you, or they want to ask anything else, or if they're interested, so I do daily emails for people where I inspire, educate coaches, therapists, hypnotists all around the world. So I'll put the information on that there. That's completely free, but we'll put some information about Gasper as well below. And Gasper, thank you so much. Awesome questions. And my sense is that this will be really, really helpful for some people. So we'll see what happens in the comments below, and I'll speak to you soon, my friend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.